Last night on MasterChef Australia.
Without taste, forget about it.
Marion used her immunity pin to avoid an elimination challenge.
I didn't come here to gamble, George. I came here to cook.
And for Jake, the MasterChef journey ended.
Come away from this realising that I can excel. I really, found an inner strength.
Tonight, it's time for the amateurs to learn from the pros in another masterclass.
My favourite part, the cooking part.
Special guest Matt Moran drops by to help George serve up ravioli, 2 easy canapes, and his very own frangipani tart.
I'm always nervous about George eating my food. I'm waiting for a score.
Plus, we get a unique lesson from the innovative Fergus Henderson on the joys of cooking nose to tail.
So we thought we'd take your interest in offal to a whole nother level.
I love that word, masterclass. You know why? Because it's time for us to sit, relax, and watch someone else do the cooking for a change.
I'm glad that today's masterclass because we get to pick up a few hints and some techniques that hopefully we can use in the following week.
Guys, welcome back to the MasterChef kitchen and welcome to Masterclass. And can I tell you, a masterclass with a difference. Please welcome back to the MasterChef kitchen and to Masterclass, Chef Extraordinaire, Matt Moran from Aria.
With Gary being away from the kitchen for a little while, we're lucky enough to have Matt Moran in the MasterChef kitchen to show us some tips and tricks.
He's a fantastic chef, so we're all very excited to have him there.
So, yeah, very good.
Matt, welcome to MasterChef again.
Thank you, George. Good to be here. My favourite part, the cooking part.
Well, exactly. You get to put your jacket on. Now, tell me, any tips and tricks today?
Well, I've actually been watching you cook for, the last little bit, George. I thought I'd give you a few tips and, I think it'll probably benefit these guys too.
Always keen to steal a new recipe. Always keen. I think you noticed how they're getting smaller.
Mate, I was just looking at that and every time I come back, it's shrinking.
Any advice now that you've got your chef's jacket on?
Well, look, look carefully, watch. I'm sure there's a few tips in whatever I do today, and I'm sure it will relate to what's been going on during the week. So, keep your eyes open.
Guys, we're going to kick off our masterclass by revisiting this week's pasta invention test. Marion, you had the power to pick the core ingredient.
I've chosen seafood.
Across the board, a really fantastic effort. We saw beautiful tortellini, beautiful ravioli. We even saw some spaghetti, some fettuccine. There was a whole smorgasbord of pasta. But there was a couple of you that actually struggled. The pasta, a letdown. So that's what we're going to show you today. The first dish that we're going to demonstrate is a ravioli of potato and leek. So guys, the first thing we're going to do, the actual pasta dough, we're going to put some spinach and parsley through it. But we're going to extract the chlorophyll from the spinach and parsley and add that into the dough. So to make the chlorophyll, 75 grams of picked flat leaf parsley. That goes into our blender. Next step, I've got 100 grams of picked washed spinach. To that, I add 400 mils of water. Salt will actually extract the chlorophyll. Good pinch of that. Next step is tip all that mixture into a pot and flick on the gas. Now, what's going to happen here is some separation's going to happen. All the clear water's going to go to the bottom, and that green food colouring, so to speak, the chlorophyll, is going to come to the top. So we're going to gently bring that up to the boil. And we're going to skim that off onto muslin cloth, straight onto ice. And why we do that, okay, what happens to anything green when you cook it for too long? It goes brown.
You can really smell it now. Can you smell that?
And I'm spreading it around over the ice so it chills straight away. It shocks itself. And at this point, because you've chilled it down over ice, you can literally bring it up like a little parcel and just squeeze any excess liquid out. And there you have it. You've got green food colouring. Adam, you had a question?
George, you seem to have created a lot of the chlorophyll for only a very small amount for the pasta. How well does that keep? Does it need to be kept under oil or frozen or something like that?
You can freeze it. I mean, at the end of the day, what discolours things that are green is two things. Cooking them too long and also light, okay? So what I'd do is wrap it up in cling film, wrap it in foil and pop it in the freezer. Next step is to make our green pasta dough using the chlorophyll. And to help me make that green pasta dough, Shani, come on down. So Shani, we're going to use this little machine again. Pop 200 grams of 00 flour into that machine there. 00 basically means it's a high glutinous flour and it's been refined more when they've milled it down. All right, next step is 2 whole eggs. That goes into your machine. A little teaspoon of olive oil. Next step is 50 grams of the chlorophyll. On. And give it a buzz. Okay. Right, Shani, next step is to knead the green pasta dough. Okay. Feels a little bit different than normal?
Yeah, it was really sticky to begin with.
Yeah.
The texture's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think you'd probably have to work it a bit more to get it really silky.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Give us a look. Let me have a look. And I think, you know what, you've got it to a good point right now. That looks great. Okay. Right, next step is to cling film the pasta dough. All right, nice and tight because you don't want to get any air into it, or else it will dry out and you'll get a skin around the outside. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well done, Shani. That is fantastic. We're going to let that rest.
Okay.
And I'm going to make some ravioli.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you. So this pasta dough's been resting for about an hour and it's time to roll it out and laminate it. Matthew, can you do the honours?
Mate, I would be more than happy to, George.
Brilliant.
Yep, what we're going to do now is just roll it through and get it nice and strong and tough so we can then cut it. As we're actually pushing it through, we keep folding it over and over and it just strengthens the gluten and makes it a little bit tougher so it's not soft and not too wet. I'd say this would probably need about a dozen times through. Dozen, 16? Yeah. As now you can see, it's starting to get quite pliable, but it's also getting quite thin.
That's great. So we'll just pop. It's always good to pop them under a little blanket. Keeps them nice and...
Well, it won't dry out.
Right, guys, so we've rolled out our pasta and laminated it, ready to form our ravioli. But the next step is we need to make some braised leeks. And the braised leeks are going to be sort of the sauce element to this ravioli dish. Matt, are you able to make that for me?
I'm more than happy to. Now, we've got the nice part of the leeks, not the end bits and the outer bits. They're quite bitter and horrible, yeah? So it's not really nice to cook with. So what we're going to do is cut it into paysan, so which is little tiny squares. And we're just going to saute it in a little bit of butter, add a little bit of chicken stock or vegetable stock if you like, and then we're just going to braise it down until it's nice and soft, and we're going to serve it underneath the ravioli. So we're just going to cut it in half, so it's quite square. Just going to take out that big centre bit there, cut the bottom of it off. Just going to cut it into, say, 3 bits. Then we're going to cut it into what we call paysan. Right, guys, to braise it, we're going to add a little bit of butter. Now, we've got a little bit of thyme also. We're going to add the thyme, a little bit of stock. So we're going to just sort of move it round, keep it moving for a couple of minutes, yeah? 2 to 3 minutes. Add a little bit of salt to it, a little bit of pepper. Make sure you got all the leek down from the sides because you don't want it to brown. Just going to turn it down a little bit and we're just going to braise it.
For our ravioli of potato and leek, I want to serve a little potato wafer, a little garnish that sits on top of the ravioli. So we're going to use this little Japanese bin rinder. Quite simple. Connect the teeth into the potato, pop it in, apply a little bit of pressure and wind. All right, then we pull that out, and what we want here is the long bits. They're the good bits. Okay, so that's what you want there. Right, next step is to actually make this potato crisp. And the idea is that you want a nice sort of round crisp, but in the centre it looks a little bit not so perfect. There you go, and I just drop it in, you know, as it drops in naturally, sort of in spots that I can see where it looks a little bit bare.
A little bit bare there, George.
Right, then what we've got here is some clarified butter, okay, and we should all know how to make clarified butter by now. You pop it into a pot and you let the whey separate from the milk. And then on a really low heat, we're just going to let that gently get nice and crisp, turn it over, do the other side, and we've got a beautiful little potato garnish to go on the ravioli.
And we know why we're using clarified butter and not normal butter. It doesn't catch the milk solids, won't burn, and also it's actually got a much higher burning point, so you can actually heat it a lot hotter. George, I reckon this is ready.
Yeah, brilliant.
That looks fantastic. Nice and crisp.
So just onto a wire rack, okay? You don't need to season it. It's got plenty of salt on it, all right? And it's there to be a nice little crispy texture to the dish. Now, the next step is to actually assemble the filling that's going to go inside our green pasta. So basically what I've got here is thin slices of potato, okay? Square potato that we've just cooked in water until they're tender. And what we've made here is just some mashed potato. We've baked off our potatoes. It's up to you. If you want to boil them, you can. I prefer baking them. I know Matt does as well. Pass it through a fine sieve. And we've just added olive oil to that and salt.
So we've got a piping bag here. Put our mashed potato in it. Right, into our piping bag. Push it down. Yep. Okay. What we're going to do is just put a little...
Perfect, perfect. We've got that potato slice on the bottom. It's basically going to hold the filling together, okay?
Right. So we get our bottom sheet, George.
Yes, please.
And so that's nicely rested too.
That's beautiful. So here we've just got one egg that we've cracked and whisked up. That's used to stick our sheets together. We brush our pasta sheet with a little bit of egg. All right, we grab our potato and we sit that on top. We cut our sheet like that, our bottom sheet out like that, and then next step is we cut off a square of the top sheet, and then we glue the first bit down, and then we form it around, okay? And we just pinch that end. A little bit of egg, not too much. And we just glue that back. All right? And then, because they're square, we just pinch the side of our potato, our little potato slice on the bottom, which is our gauge, and we cut them beautifully and square. Okay?
Beautiful, beautiful.
There you have it. Right, guys, now it's time to cook our ravioli. Boiling salted water, tasting of the sea. And then we pop, it's going to be a little entree, so we'll pop 2 of these in and we'll gently just bring them up. Okay, so while they're cooking, Matt Moran, if you could do me the honours by popping some of those leeks sort of all over the plate.
I've got the leeks in there. You can see that they're cooked, but we've got a little bit of thyme in there that we actually really just put in there to flavour. So we're just going to pull out the stems. As you see, it looks nice and creamy from the butter, and they're nice and sort of soft and really tender, nicely seasoned. Just going to layer that down on the plate.
The pasta's been in for about 3 minutes, okay? And you can see they're starting to float, which is a sort of an indicator that they're cooked. All right, so to take them out, I just pop a little bit of olive oil on the plate, a bit of sea salt as well. All right, and we just gently fish these out, huh? Fantastic. All right, now if you can pop them on the plate, that would be great, Matt. It's looking good, isn't it?
They smell fantastic.
Okay, next step is I've got some of this micro basil, a little drizzle of olive oil, and then the potato crisp, which we're just gonna pop on like that. And of course, some Parmesan or pecorino. There you go, guys. This is our ravioli of potato and leek. Right, it's tasting time. Matthew, Shani, do you want to come up and have a little taste? Should get some of those leeks. Shani, your thoughts?
Really beautiful, delicate flavours, well balanced, but I think it's really the texture thing for me, the really soft, creamy mash with the crunchy potato. Like with the slices, the mash and the crisp, there's the 3 different textures, so it's really beautiful.
Shani, Matthew, I hope you enjoyed your tasting. Back to your position.
Thank you.
Right, guys, top tips for making ravioli with potato and leek. Chlorophyll, extremely important. As it comes up to the boil, you skim it off straight away. You don't let it sit too long in that water or it's going to go brown.
Pasta, make sure you get the right thickness, yeah? Too thin, it'll break. Too thick, it's horrible to eat and it's really doughy.
Right, guys, there you have it. Ravioli of potato and leek. Going forward, no excuses. You know how to make great pasta dough now, and you know how to make a dish that's a little bit creative. So what we want to see is amazing food. Right, guys, next on Masterclass, we're going to be revisiting the Sail Away Challenge on the Pacific Jewel, where you guys had to cook 8,000 canapes. Matt, what would have you done for 2,000 people?
So guys, I would have kept it really simple. What we're going to do today is a spanner crab and corn quesadilla. Very simple. Something you can cut into like 8 pizzas, like a pizza, and you can just sort of pass them around, people can just pick them up. Now, Aaron, I hear you're a bit of a Mexican king.
I'm a Mexican fan, definitely not a Mexican king.
You like your Mexican food?
I do, I love it.
This is Team Mexico, isn't it?
It is Team Mexico. You are so excited, aren't you? You're in your element.
I just love playing with all this stuff.
And I love Mexico.
I think I'm going to get you up here to help.
Right, Aaron, I'm going to leave you to it. He won't hurt. He's a nice bloke, all right?
How are you, buddy? You well?
There you go. Very
right,
well.
mate, what we're going to do, very simple. Quesadillas, some beautiful Spanish crab from Noosa, some sweet corn. We're going to make a basic tomato sauce, and that's what I want you to do.
Okay.
What we're going to do is like a basic pizza sauce, but we don't want to sit it on the stove and cook it for hours. We want to have that little bit of freshness in it. All it's going to be flavoured with is a little bit of garlic, some basil, and some good olive oil.
Okay.
So if you want to get some olive oil on, about 20 or 30 mils, and just fry that garlic until it's nice and golden brown, yeah?
Okay.
What we're going to do, we're going to let it brown. You're going to add your tomatoes. You're just going to crunch them up a little bit, cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes, add the basil, and then we're just going to quickly puree it.
Okay.
And we're going to puree it so it's a little bit rough, and that's going to be the base of our quesadilla.
Okay.
So really what you're trying to do is just bring out that flavour of that garlic, yeah? Once it starts to turn brown, it'll go really, really quickly. You've got to be careful of those really small little pieces in there that are broken off as you've actually mixed it round. All right, I'd say that's just about it.
Okay.
We're going to add our tomatoes. Be careful. What we try and do also with the tomatoes is drain as much liquid off as possible.
Okay. So break them up.
Yeah, break them up a little bit. Put a little bit of salt in there. We're going to add all our basil. What I want you to do, just in the mixer, put it in, not too fine. I don't want it to be this really thin sauce. I want it to be a little bit chunky.
So just a couple of pulses?
Yeah, a few pulses.
Yep, no problem.
Make sure you just sort of break down those tomatoes. There you go. All right, let's have a look at that. As you can see, you can still smell that freshness in it.
Absolutely.
Still really smell the garlic, smell the basil, and it's still a little bit chunky. So we're just going to put that into the bowl, and we're going to use that as our base. There's our sauce for the quesadilla.
Great.
The next step is to make the filling. You can do that.
Okay.
So we've got the garlic, we've got the chilli, a little bit of sweet corn, a little bit of Spanish crab. We've got about 80 grams of Spanish crab, about 40 grams of sweet corn. It's about a quarter of a chilli and about a quarter of a garlic, which is finely chopped.
Any coriander?
A little bit of coriander, a few sprigs of baby coriander.
Yep.
All right, so we've got that mixed.
Yep.
All right, buddy, you can go sit down. I'm going to assemble it. Very straightforward. We've got our tomato sauce on both of the tortillas. Put them down. We're going to grab our tomato sauce and just coat it over the top. And these are just a basic, straightforward tortilla that you can get virtually anywhere. Now, it's really important, guys, also, is that you don't have too much sauce on this, because when you're actually cooking it together, it actually can run out too much, yeah? So we've got our filling. Just put it on one side. Right, now the most important part, Manchego cheese, which is a Spanish cheese. You want to make this really nice and gooey when you're cooking it. So over the top. Now we're squashing it down a little bit, guys. Be careful you don't squash it all out the sides. Now, if you had a wood-fired pizza oven, you'd actually put it in there on a really hot slab. What we're going to do is we're going to dry fry it in a pan, and we're going to place it in the oven for a couple of minutes just to make sure that that corn and all the cheese is melted right through the middle of it. So heat your pan up. Very carefully, pick up your quesadilla and just sit it in the bottom of a non-stick pan, really important. Right, so very carefully, about 2 minutes. Just take it off so you're not on the flame so you won't burn yourself. And just going to flip that over really quickly. And we're just going to do the other side for about the same time, and then we're just going to bake it in the oven just to make sure that it's nice and gooey inside, but really crisp on the outside. All right, guys. Now, I'm just going to place it in the oven. That's quite a hot oven. Yeah, it's about 220 degrees. We're going to make a quick salad now, something just to go with it, something nice and refreshing. We've got some beautiful little cherry tomatoes. We're just going to cut them in half. A little bit of Spanish onion, red onion. And again, the little baby coriander. Now we're going to season that with a little bit of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of salt, and just something for a little bit of acid. You know, rather than using a sort of French dressing, we're just going to use some lemon juice and some extra virgin olive oil, yeah? Just mix that around. All right, guys, that's been in there now for about 4 or 5 minutes. I reckon it's about perfect. Just lift it up and just slide it onto a board. Now, it's pretty much like a pizza, the way it is now. So we're just going to cut it into 8 pieces. You can see the cheese oozing out of it. Now to serve it, guys, we've got a platter, as you would for any canapé. Nice big platter, and we're going to just put it around the platter like so. Like that. We're going to get our salad and just put it in the middle. Salad's really just for garnish also. So there you go. There's our Spanish crab and corn quesadillas. I hear footsteps, George.
Yum.
What do you think, buddy?
Delicious. It smells.
That cheese, that melting cheese flavour to me is just the best. So any questions, guys? Adam?
Matt, can you give us some other ideas for other flavour combinations other than Spanish crab and corn?
Well, you could use any sort of seafood if you like, you know, a little bit of lobster meat or prawns, you know, sweet corn and peas. Yeah, you could do a vegetarian one, you know, quite easily. You know, I wouldn't put things like eggplant or anything in it, but, you know, a little bit of zucchini, you know, some capsicum, you know, capsicum being a little bit more Mexican, some red beans, you know, as the base instead of the tomato sauce. Endless, endless. So, guys, my tips for the quesadillas. Make sure when you're cooking it, it's not too hot, you smell for it. If it burns, if it gets too dark on the outside of it, you've ruined the whole lot of them. Tip number 2, try and find fresh crab meat. You know, or go down and buy crabs cooking yourselves. Can't beat it. What do you think? I'm always nervous about George eating my food. I'm waiting for a score. Right, who else wants to come up and try some? Let's have Adam, Aaron and Claire.
Delicious.
Go for it, guys. No knives and forks on this one. So you see what I mean by the corn? It's still got a little bit of bite to it. You know, sort of bursts in your mouth when you actually tap into it. What do you think?
It's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a great combination of flavours.
Good. Fantastic. All right, guys.
Thanks.
So, guys, there you have it. That's my Spanish crab and sweet corn quesadilla. To me, I've just shown you a technique. What you put in it, it is really up to you guys.
Right, guys, so we're looking back at the team challenge this week where you guys had to make 8,000 canapes. So next on the menu, I'm going to cook something that I would have done for the canape function, something straight from the press club.
Georgie, I'll leave you to it, buddy, but I want one.
Done. So what I'm going to make for you guys now is a quail dolmada with yogurt and tahini vinaigrette. And to help me make it, pita. Peter, I'm sure you know, but a classic Greek dolmada is a vine leaf that you actually stuff with rice. Different parts, different regions of Greece, you add different things to it, but rice is the prominent. They wrap it up, they roll it, and they poach it gently, really gently, and you eat that cold. Now, this is a play on the dolmada, so I'm actually using vine leaves, but we're actually going to wrap up some quail in the vine leaf. Right, the first step is to bone out the quail, which is really, really simple. Beautiful fresh quail. Go straight down the breastbone, all right? First incision. Go back down the wishbone and crack that, and then just keep running your knife right along the breastbone. Then you'll find the little wing bone, and you just click that off. at this point there. We cut it like that. So we end up with a breast and a leg intact. Then the next step, because it's a cocktail function, I don't want people to have too many bones to deal with. All I want them to have is that top bone there to pick it up. So I want to remove that bone there. And to do that, just make a little incision and just slowly tease that open. And you can literally get your fingers in there now because it's that delicate, the meat. And then take that out. And there you have it. Now you've got a breast and a leg that's pretty much boneless. Peter, next step is to make a little bit of an oregano butter to go in the inside of the quail. So we've got about, 100 grams of soft butter that's been diced, some fresh oregano. So if I could get you to shred that up. Now remember, it's a soft, fresh herb, so we only want to shred it once. We don't want to sit there bashing the flavour into the board. That goes into the butter. A little pinch of thyme. A little bit of thyme's always nice. A teaspoon of Dijon mustard. A pinch of salt. And a little crack of pepper. Give it a good mix. Have you tasted that, if it's seasoned enough?
No.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, enough salt, enough pepper?
It's a herb. Yeah, I think there's plenty of salt in there.
Good. Okay, brilliant. Right, the next step is actually to roll the quail. So, a little bit of butter on the breast, okay? What you do is you literally fold the leg over the breast, just like that. All right, like you're making a little sort of drumstick, so to speak. Then at that point, you take a vine leaf, all right? Now these vine leaves have been salted and brined. You can use fresh vine leaves, but you need to, again, salt them and then brine them.
You got the shiny side down, George?
Shiny side down, that's because I want that to be my presentation side, all right? I pop the breast down with that little bone at the bottom of the leaf. And we just roll that around. There you have it. There's the vine leaf bit. Then the next step is I want to encase this and give it a chance where I want to keep all that flavour inside the vine leaf. So what I've got here is crapinette or caul fat. It's the stomach lining of a pig. This is basically a good way to insulate a cut of meat, keeping all the juice in there. Buy this from a butcher. Usually they've got it hidden out the back because not many people really do buy it. Ask them for it. You might need to pre-order it and you'll get it. Now to wrap the quail with the vine leaf in the crapinette. So we just pull a bit out of the container. Squeeze any excess liquid out. Okay. And we lay that out. We get our quail, place it down. Keep it nice and tight. And we don't want too much on there. Just want enough to wrap it around nice and tight. Tuck the bottom in and wrap tight. Peter, thank you so much. I hope you learned something.
I did. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
Thank you, mate. The next step is to cook the quail. We've made a few little extra, all right? So simple, pan on the heat, bit of olive oil. We'll just place our quails in. A little bit of salt. And you know what? As they go straight into the oven. 200 degrees. We're going to check them after 4 minutes and they should be ready in 6 minutes. While the quails are in the oven cooking, we're going to make a simple vinaigrette of tahini and yogurt. Very simple, guys. Some yogurt, just straight Greek-style yogurt. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons. Tahini, which is sesame paste. 2 teaspoons of that. And we're going to add a teaspoon of whole grain mustard. And a little squeeze of lemon juice. And one last thing, about 5 tablespoons of olive oil. A good whisk. There you have it, that's ready to go. Right guys, any questions? Matthew?
Can you eat those vine leaves just straight up, or do you have to cook them?
No, you have to cook them. Yeah, they have to be cooked. They're too tough. Yeah, and they're really not nice to eat raw. Right guys, let's have a look how our quail's going. It's been in the oven for about 6 minutes. Now at this point here, I want to Benoit them. Put a little bit of butter in there. So butter goes in, some chopped thyme. Yeah, just to fragrance that butter that's going to go over this quail. And you can see the vine leaves have popped out of that crapinette, haven't they? They just melted away and gone nice and crisp. And I'll just baste that quail. Now we're just going to take that out. And of course, a little bit more love, a little drizzle of butter over the top. Right, guys, time to plate up. First step, our yogurt and tahini vinaigrette. Good glug of that on the plate. And because it's a canapé function, everyone needs to get a little bit of that dressing. And then, like little babies, we're just gonna lie them on that little blanket of tahini and mustard. All right. And then a little bit of rocket cress, just over the top. What would I do without my old friend? There you have it, that's my canapé, quail dolmada.
Your canapé, George, don't you mean my canapé?
What do you reckon?
Mate, it looks fantastic.
Nice.
Looks fantastic. What's on the bottom?
A little bit of tahini and yogurt vinaigrette.
Beautiful.
Very simple, mustard, tahini, yogurt, olive oil, piece of cake.
So, George, what are some tips on those canapés?
Well, Matt, I think it's really important when you bone out the quail that you remove all those bones. You only leave that little leg bone on there, because the last thing you want is the customer biting into it and finding surprise little bones. My next top tip would most definitely be when you roast off the quail, just keep an eye on it. The last thing you want to do is overcook it and dry it out. There's nothing worse than overcooked quail. It's like eating cardboard. Matt, would you like to taste one?
Mate, I would love to taste one, George. They look great. Fantastic. Nicely seasoned.
Yeah. Canapé party, it's a bit of a party. Get up, come on. Who wants one?
Thanks.
You two can share, yeah? You can bite into it.
George.
Who wants to share here? You two share? Yeah. Okay. Right, there you have it, guys. A simple canapé that you can use next time you have to cater for a cocktail function. Right, guys, the final dish of today's masterclass is a cracker. This dish is inspired by the Celebrity Chef Challenge that you're involved in, Aaron, and of course, Maggie Beer. Aaron, you had to cook a savoury pie that Maggie Beer brought into the MasterChef kitchen. So today we're making a sweet one. And I thought, what better person to do this dish is someone that actually had a little tart business and has also got amazing skills in pastry. Matt Moran.
Thank you, George. We're actually going to make a frangipani tart with fresh berries. So raspberry, blueberries and strawberries. We're gonna have a short crust base. We're gonna make a frangipani mix and we're gonna put some berries in it. We're gonna bake it and then glaze it right at the end with some strawberry jam.
Matt, I'll leave it to you.
No, it's George. All right, guys, so we're going to make some pastry. Who likes making pastry here? Joanne, you can come up and help. Okay, Joanne, we're going to make the pastry. We've got 375 grams of flour, plain flour in there, and we've got 50 grams of icing sugar and 200 grams of butter, and then make it as though it resembles breadcrumbs. Then we're going to add our egg at the end, and then we're going to squeeze it all together, and we're going to let it rest. All right. Put your egg in.
Pulse again.
Yep. It's going. Right, see how it's starting to come together now?
Oh, yeah, yep.
Right, I'm going to take it out.
Yep.
Put it on the board. So basically what we have here is a short crust pastry. You know, it's quite brittle. It's not like a puff pastry or a filet pastry, which is quite flaky. It's like a brisée, what we call a brisée. It's actually when you bite into it, it just sort of breaks. Pretty much what we're going to do now is wrap that in cling film. Going to whack it in the fridge for at least an hour. If you can do it for 2 hours, even better. You can do that and go and sit back down.
Thanks.
All right, guys, while our pastry is resting, we're actually going to make a frangipani base. What we've got here is 125 grams of butter, 125 grams of icing sugar. So cream your butter and sugar first. So there you go, guys. You've got your butter and your sugar, yeah? Not too aerated. Now we're going to add our 2.5 eggs. And as we actually add our eggs, it'll look as though it's going to separate, which is fine because it'll all come back together again when we add the almond meal. So guys, our half egg, we mix it up a little bit and we pour half of it in. Right, make sure it's all incorporated. It looks as though it's split a little bit, yeah? We had 125 grams of almond meal. Right, we can take it out. Right, you can see that mix there now. Just gently fold it all the way through. You're kind of looking for that sort of, you know, thick whipped cream consistency. Right, we're just going to add our rum to it. There's 25 mils of rum in that.
Matt, we can't always get rum. Is it a critical ingredient in the frangipan?
You could use Frangelico or Nocello or any sort of nut liqueur would be fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not just necessary. You don't have to use rum. All right, guys, our pastry now has been resting for an hour. Let's roll it into the tin. Now, it's got a lot firmer. There's quite a bit of pastry here for the size of the tin that we're going to use, so we'll probably only use about half of it. The other half, you could actually freeze. You keep it for another time. Right, a little bit of flour, dusting flour. We've got our tart tin here with a removable base. Very carefully start to roll it. Now, you don't want to make it too thin. You should have holes in your tart. You don't want to make it too thick because it's horrible to eat. To me, a couple of mils is the ideal thickness, yeah? Now, you've got to be careful when you pick this up, and here's a bit of a trick. Make sure it's the right size, yeah? Very carefully with your rolling pin, start to roll it up, like so. And then just roll it back down again. Basically what you're doing, guys, you're just slowly folding it in. Rolling over the top just to make it nice and even. Right, now once our tart's been rolled. We're just going to let it rest in the fridge for about 15 minutes. So guys, we've got some beautiful berries here. It's roughly half a punnet of each berry for the tart. Joanne, can I get you to come up here and help me assemble the tart again? On your way over, Joanne, do you want to grab the tart out of the fridge? All right, you can put it up here. As you can see, it's been sitting there resting. It's got quite firm again. Now, I've got a little bit of strawberry jam here. Basically want you to paint the bottom of it. And what will happen is when we bake it, we'll have the frangipane on top, we'll have the berries on top of the glaze, but you'll actually see a little bit of jam underneath. George, you're back.
How are we going?
Yeah, good, good, good. Guys, now that we've got the jam on the bottom, we're going to spoon in the frangipane mix. And just sort of fill it all the way around. Right, now our berries. Joanne, I just want you to sprinkle them all around a little bit with these strawberries, raspberries and blueberries. Just make a mixture. Yeah, no, not all of them, about half of them.
Half of it, yep. Does it have to be flat down? Or?
Flat down, you can do whatever you like with them.
So it doesn't...
Now, once you sort of get them on the top like that, what I want you to do is just push them in a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? Don't have to push them all the way to the bottom, but just some in, some out. What happens when that starts to bake, it'll actually rise around the berries. So if you want to put that in the oven, we're going to bake it for about 30 to 40 minutes at about 180 degrees.
Sure.
All right, guys, our frangipane berry tart is ready to come out of the oven, yeah? Let's have a look. Oh, smells great too.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
One more thing to do, guys, for presentation-wise, we've got a little bit of strawberry jam and it's going to act as a glaze. And just paint it onto our tart. All right, guys, to serve it. Take it out of its tart tin. It's on the plate. A couple of different berries. Cream on top.
Done.
While I cut the tart.
Wow. Delicious.
Now, George, that's just a little bit of double cream in that. Just
beautiful.
Whipped up a little bit, so it's nice and creamy. Just want to put that on top of that nice big quenelle. That's about it. Beautiful. Look at that. Guys, who would like to taste it? All of you. That's good. Joanne, Jonathan, and Marion, come up and taste the tart. The frangipane itself should be nice and moist. Good, you get in there, buddy.
I can't believe the pastry's gone so crunchy, even though it was baked under the frangipane.
Oh, yeah. That is divine.
That frangipane mix is really nice and moist.
All right, guys, thanks very much. You can sit back down now. All right, guys, some tips. My first tip, the pastry, make sure you rest it. Reason being, you roll it out, it'll shrink too much. The frangipane mix, when you're actually creaming the butter and the sugar, make sure you don't aerate it too much, otherwise it will collapse after you cook your tart. Berries, use fresh berries, yeah, not frozen berries. The reason being, there's a lot more moisture in a frozen berry. It'll actually make your tart soggy. That's the end of our masterclass, guys. I must say, it's been an absolute pleasure being here cooking for you. George, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I think it's now time to eat. Come up and eat, guys. Yeah, let's put a little bit of duck fat into the pastry.
Right, guys, can I say what a week it's been here in the MasterChef kitchen. Can I say to everyone, congratulations.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Jonathan. Adam, Jono. Boys, there's a letter here for you.
What is it? What is it?
Well, you tell me.
Ready? Good morning, Jonathan and Adam. For the two of you, there is a special treat. You'll be attending a private masterclass with an international food legend. He is the great Fergus Henderson.
It's almost too much to hope for. Fergus Henderson is one of the biggest chefs in the world. He's pioneered a whole movement of nose-to-tail eating, and he cooks with such an interesting style and a quirk.
See you guys.
Fergus Henderson is just the font of everything when it comes to cooking every part of an animal and breaking down, you know. It's not about cooking traditional cuts of meat. He's all about cooking everything else but. He's renowned for being an eccentric genius, and a lot of people don't know this, but he also suffers from Parkinson's disease, which makes his achievements even more unbelievable. We walk into Victor Churchill, and there standing is Matt Preston and Fergus Henderson.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Victor Churchill Butchery. An early start, but I think you'll find that every lost moment of sleep is about to be repaid. Earlier this week, in the Mystery Box Challenge, you had to cook with offal. That threw some contestants, but we were impressed the two of you grabbed at those brains and created great dishes with them. So we thought we'd take your interest in offal to a whole nother level. And there's only one person in the world to do that with, and that is the man standing next to me, one of my personal heroes, a man who has made nose-to-tail eating an institution, the chef's chef, a man who's won 1 Michelin star for his restaurant, St. John in London, Fergus Henderson.
Good morning.
Morning, nice to meet you.
Real honour to be here. Thanks so much for coming.
Anytime. Fergus has kindly offered to be your guide through the innards and extremities of the glorious pig. And after that, you are going to have a unique experience. You're going to get to cook one of Fergus's signature dishes from St. John, his crispy pig's tail, and Fergus is going to advise you, help you, and slap your wrist when you get it wrong.
The best thing about a private masterclass is that we're getting all the information, all the attention. It's really like just a private tutor. It's brilliant. And we can ask whatever we want, learn whatever we want, and bring it straight back into the competition.
It really is a unique experience. But first, I believe a pig awaits. Shall we go? So, Fergus, talk us through what we have here.
Well, a smiling pig's head. Irresistible, really.
And ways to eat. What are some of the delicious things you could do with a pig's head?
Oh, you can jelly it, or a particular favourite is half a pig's head, pot roast. And it's the perfect romantic supper for two. You're not for your loved one a cheek. I mean, fantastic. Cartilage doesn't straight away make you think yum yum, but we press pig's ear, so you sit in its own jelly. You've got the givingness of the jelly and then just enough resistance of cartilage.
And on this plate here?
This one, well, we've got the ears, which we've covered, the tails, which I come to a bit later, and then the mighty trotter, which is extraordinary. You can burn it out, but be warned, it's a labour of love. Or braising or stewing, pie.
Why do you think so many people have a distrust of offal?
I don't really understand it. It's always seemed common sense and delicious to use the whole beast. They often look like trotters' tails, ears.
Yeah.
Which people don't want to know what the meat looks like. Once you've had a lip-sticking experience at trotter, it all changes.
Yeah.
All changes.
I love talking about food, but it's never as good as eating. So, Adam, Jonathan, I think it's time for us to move to tasting dishes. So in terms of dishes here, we've got the pig's trotter, boned out and stuffed with mashed potato. We've got a terrine. Now, what's this terrine here made of?
Brawn, made of the head.
So all the different bits of meat on the head, yeah?
Yes.
And then the salad here?
Is a bit of chicory and your crispy ear.
Fergus, which we start with, the trotter or the brawn and the pig's ear salad?
I think Let's eat the trotter while hot.
Good idea. Adam, Jonathan, pick up your irons.
Parcel of joy. It's steadying fare, a trotter.
Wow. It's sort of pork and mashed potato, but the texture of the trotter is so different, and so it's something that looks so alien and the texture is so strange, but the flavour is something that's very much something I grew up with. It's amazing.
All the flavour of the pork's just gone straight into the mash, and there's, is it like a Chardonnay vinegar or some, is there something that's coming back out?
A little raw sage chopping out, which gives a bit of warmth.
Okay.
And heat, and maybe a little raw garlic in there as well.
The flavour's really strong, porky flavour. It's really good.
That is the kind of dish that someone that didn't consider that they could like the extremities of an animal could eat that, and they would understand it, and they'd really love it.
There's people who haven't tried it, actually. So they go, ugh, foot, nose, ear. But well handled, a joy.
Well, let's move on to the brawn and the pig's ear salad. Adam?
I'm going to start with the salad. I've just been staring at that.
It's got like a beautiful old marble floor.
Yes.
That gelatinous texture that you don't really have a lot of in Australian food anyway, that people try and shy away from. It just really makes the dish when it doesn't have that fattiness that's behind it. There's this mix between the chewiness of the meat, the gelatinousness of the other parts of the head that are mixed through there. And I really love the pig's ear. Just that like crack and crunch, it's great.
Definitely follow Adam and get the key pig's ear. That's the crunch that you're talking about that everyone looks for. That's good.
Well, guys, you've tasted Fergus's dishes. Now, here's your chance to cook one of his signature pieces from St. John. So, Fergus, what's the first step in cooking your crispy pig's tails?
Well, very simple. We're going to braise them slowly with some veg in the oven for about 3 hours. So if we chop some veg, and really just chop the carrot in half, so it still knows it's a carrot. A few chopped celery. It's lovely. Same with onions, so chop them in half, pop them in there.
Feels very nice doing it this way.
Garlic in half. Now, bundle of joy.
So, Jonathan, in that bundle of herbs, what can you see?
So there's some thyme, rosemary, bay leaves, and parsley. I'm just going to loop all that together.
Fergus, so you've got 2 onions, 2 sticks of celery, 2 carrots, a bundle of herbs, 1 head of garlic cut in half. And so all these things are designed to just get some other flavours into the pig's tails while they're braising.
Yes, and we're sort of setting an environment, creating a sort of happy braising companions.
So, Fergus, the next step is the pig's tails?
It is. Do we want them to sort of nestle in there? Now, peppercorns, lemon zest, whole lemon.
Whole zest, all of it?
Whole zest, sprinkled with such gaiety and frivolity. Now, I'm going to cover it with light chicken stock.
And Fergus, along with the stock?
I think we want to toast the tails with a half bottle of wine.
Beautiful.
Lovely. So we're looking for submerged tail.
Right.
If you have those bits sticking out, they'll be kind of dry nudgels.
So a little bit more chicken stock just so those tails are fully submerged so you don't get little crusty bits on the top?
Yes. Fully submerged. That's perfect. Now, cover it with tin foil, pop it in your oven, and then you can go off and have a dry martini, have a bath, do the gardening. You've got 3 hours of lovely knowledge knowing your tails braising away slowly.
Jonathan and Adam, you're here cooking Fergus's signature dish of crispy pig's tails. They braised beautifully for 3 hours in a medium oven and are now magnificent looking. Next step, Fergus?
Is to crisp them up. So you get the crunch and then the give. What we do now is we flour them, make an egg wash with mustards and breadcrumbs, but you want to get your breadcrumbs as fine as possible, which I'm glad you have.
So first step, we need to make that egg wash, which is the middle step in crumbing those pig's tails. What's in there, Fergus?
4 eggs and some mustard to lift.
That looks roughly like 2 tablespoons of hot English mustard.
I think you're right there, yes. It's going to be your adhesive for the breadcrumbs.
So next step will be to flour, egg and crumb them.
If one of you takes on dry and one does wet.
So you're wanting to breadcrumb these just before you cook them to maintain the breadcrumbs in their prime crunchy state?
Yes. The soggy breadcrumb is a sad thing.
It's really pungent mustard in that egg wash.
It's old English mustard.
Excellent. So those 3 tails are going into hot oil. What sort of temperature would you like that oil to be?
Hot.
160, 170?
Yes. Maybe let's try our tail and see what happens.
Right. Happy?
Happy reaction, eh?
So now how long are those tails going to cook in the hot oil for?
Until you've got a golden, crispy...
So that you want the tails to be warmed all the way through, crunchy on the outside, slightly gelatinous in the middle.
Let's have a look at one. Let's have a look. Ooh, less. Yeah, happy.
I like the yellow that mustard gives the egg wash.
Yeah, but it's all lovely.
I've had these before. I know how good they are. I know. I just want to really just dive in and burn my fingers.
Yes, they look a joy. And here's a punchy little watercress salad to keep scurvy away. Plate up, gentlemen.
I think that looks okay.
That looks terrific.
Jonathan, Adam, I've eaten Fergus's crispy pig's tails before, so let's see how you've done. Boys?
Lovely. It's like eating, because you've got all that red wine, like the braise, it's like having a crunchy braise. You know what I mean? Like the carrots and the celery and everything are all into that as a braise, but actually then it's crunchy and it's really tasty.
And you know, when they taste that good, and they are a wonderful combination of that crunchy crumb and that really juicy flesh underneath. It's kind of very sensuous. I think you did a good job, boys.
Have we done the recipe proud?
More than proud, more than proud.
That's good.
Excelled yourselves.
So, Fergus, your top 3 tips for perfect crispy pig's tail.
Well, first, you want to braise them long and slow. That's vital. Secondly, when you're frying in the oil, maybe goggles, spitting. And thirdly, open a couple bottles of decent Burgundy.
Or a nice Australian red.
Is there any dish you don't serve with a couple of bottles of decent Burgundy?
Top tip.
Fantastic top tip for every meal. Jonathan, Adam, it's been a fantastic honour to cook for Fergus Henderson. You enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you've inspired me now to go and find every different cut of meat from almost every animal and just taste it and try a new style of cooking.
Yeah, it has been amazing. It's just an adventure throughout the whole animal, looking at something that we see all the time in supermarkets, but looking at it in a totally different way. It's been a real honour for both Jonathan and I. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good luck.
A private masterclass of this kind is a huge advantage. Fergus Henderson teaching just Jono and I about some of those slightly quirky elements to an animal. Huge advantage for us, and now I'm just dying for a pig's tail to be in the next mystery box.
Next time on MasterChef Australia.
We're halfway towards the big prize.
The top 12 amateurs sink their teeth into a new week with a very meaty mystery box.
This is the mystery box from hell.
Then they pair up for a vegetarian-themed invention test.
Anything fried is good.
Their challenge? To cook a hearty meal for 6 fussy meat lovers.
My favourite vegetable is actually a rump steak. I'm laughing, but I'm laughing in fear.
Gentlemen, prepare yourself for facing your first vegetarian dish.
I'm not quite sure what they were expecting, but I don't think this is it.